All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Blue Ribbon Cannon Show. How is everybody doing today? I see there's a lot of people already here. So let me take a look here. And we have Gardner and Josh. Thank you so much for being here. Mouse Toast, thank you so much. Q Kitchen and Beyond. Yosi, we love you, Yosi. Thank you so much for being here. And who else? Hedgehog, thank you so much. Jinja Ninja, thank you. Thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us today. This is our first show like this. Tammy is off grid, so she doesn't have internet, so she is using her phone at whichever location if she feels like it. Hey, Cajun Hydroponics, how you doing? We love Tammy here. She has the most education as far as canning goes, and we'll be using her knowledge quite a bit here on the show. And she has a lot to share with us. So, yeah. Are you still looking for your son?
I am. Was supposed to have been out 10 minutes ago. Everybody else seems to have their child, and mine is still MIA.
Uh-oh. Oh yeah, I'm sure it's really hot, Danny, in Louisiana. My mother-in-law and her husband, his daughter lives in
You're supposed
Louisiana.
to be over there.
So they're gonna be going down there here soon, and I think in the next couple weeks. And it's gonna be super hot. His daughter's getting married, so they're gonna be going down there. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna wait just a few more minutes here and let people start rolling in if they want to, and we can get ready with the show. Tammy said she has some things to share, like some questions and answers and you know, that kind of thing. So yeah. I'm sorry that I feel like you guys probably think I smoked like 100 packs of cigarettes last night, but to be quite honest, I just woke up like a half hour ago. My son was being ridiculous and last night and didn't go to bed till like 2 in the morning, and then I woke up at 8 and am exhausted, and I'm not wearing an ounce of makeup, and yeah, so yeah.
So
Hey,
Sawyer,
the best life.
is it close? Yeah. It won't let me mute.
It's okay. The best life, thank you so much for being here and hanging out with us. Aw, thank you, Hedgehog. Seriously, I am exhausted. Last night I was ready to go to bed, and then, you know, my son started acting up, so I took him downstairs. Hey, Uncle Al. I took him downstairs, and when I took him downstairs, he just was literally bouncing off the walls. Like, he was going to the wall and pounding on it and pushing himself off of it. Like, he was literally bouncing off the walls. When people say that, I understand that now. So it was crazy, and then, you know, we were watching cartoons. I was just, like, trying to get him to lay down with me. He wouldn't lay down with me. He wouldn't lay down with my husband. I'm just like, "This is ridiculous." Finally, he took him upstairs, turned off all the lights, and I went to bed, and he still kinda bounced in his crib a little bit, you know? He still kinda bounced around, and then finally, he just ended up passing out at, like, 2:30 in the morning, so it was insane. And that was, like, my first real experience with him doing that because, to be quite honest, he's been a good kid. Like, I put him to bed at 9:30 and he lays up there and he's just a good kid. I've never had that issue. So it's very strange. I don't know if he had too much sugar or, you know, he just was fighting sleep. I don't know, but yeah, it was nuts. So thank you all for being here and hanging out with us. Warm milk and brandy for Friday. Yeah. Yeah. And then jail time for mommy if somebody found out. Mm. Oh, that's actually a really good question. We have a question for you, Tammy. Oh, she's getting back in her car. Give me a second here.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. It says, I have a question for Tammy. Is it possible to pack in a jar leftovers of all kinds as sauces? Oh, you're
Really think.
muted. No. I don't know why it's muted. I don't know what's going on. I can hear you now. That's weird, but I can't hear when you speak. I can hear like the little things. It's so strange. Um,
There we go.
oh,
There,
okay.
there we go. Yes, you can leftovers. I actually do some planned leftovers where I plan to can things up and then use the rest for dinner. But I have canned up leftovers. It You just have to do it for the longest ingredient time. So if there's any meat in there, you have to use the meat time. So that's what you have to think about, what the longest ingredient is.
So you really have to think if there's like beans or
Yeah.
noodles or something in there, and you have to cook it for 75 minutes because of the meat.
Are not USDA approved. So you would have want to leave like the noodles or the rice or the grains out
Oh, okay.
and not kind of plan ahead with your leftovers to have them on the side and then mix in just what you're going to eat.
So leave your dry ingredients out and then
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. You have to plan it to do it. Unless you want to be a real rebel.
But even people that I know that have canned, people do can rebelly. It's not it's not approved, and it's not something that we should be talking about. But people have canned, and I heard horror stories about how mushy everything can be, and stuff like that. It's not something that you'd probably want to do anyway. So
Yeah. If they've already been cooked once, they're going to get like really mushy. So
yeah,
you plan to can, you can make a batch of something and then can the parts that can well, and then just when you open them, add more noodles, add rice, that kind of thing.
yeah. I don't know what G fiber towers are. I think what you're talking about, Ginger Ninja, is the 5. Is that what you're talking about? I'm not sure what that is, and I don't believe we have any of that near us. Hedgehog said she freezes her leftovers, and that's a really good idea as well.
Yes. I've actually froze TV dinners. May take, different things of leftovers and put them in TV dinner style trays, and then made my own TV dinners by using different leftovers from different days.
Yeah, that's a really good idea too.
It's really good when you have teenagers that want to eat at odd times.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, I didn't know that was a trigger word. There's so many trigger words on YouTube. It's like, oh, can I say and what can I say YouTube? And there's no like lingo on YouTube's rule book to what I can and cannot say. So sorry, but yeah, there is in Cleveland, but I'm nowhere near that. So, um, okay, so we have a goal with this, and I think maybe with the show, and I think maybe even at some point we'll probably do some live canning. I do have a pressure canner, and maybe like Tammy can help guide me with some pressure canning things because I did want to make chili up ahead of time and I wanted to pressure can it so it could be shelf stable. So, stuff like that. So we'll probably add that to the show. And there will be other things that can be added too. We'll do like a little intro for beginners, I'm sure, where we can talk about, the jars and the sizes and how to put on rings and stuff like that. A lot of people have tons of questions about rings, and then what they do then is they crank down on the ring, and then you see horror stories about when they put them in the pressure canner, how the lid bent because they cranked on it too hard. You just hear horror stories about stuff like that. So in these episodes, we will talk about, how to do stuff like that, and we will break it down for you so that everybody can learn, everybody can learn, and this is a free educational experience. You don't have to pay for this. I'm sure if Tammy wanted to, she could do a Rebel Canner thing off on her show, and people can pay for her Rebel Canner knowledge. That might be something that she'd have to discuss, and I'd help her out with it. But for the most part, this is a free educational show about canning and teaching people how to do it the right way, and stuff like that. Plus, we really like doing it, right? So
Yes. Canning is my personal therapy. I enjoy it. It's calming for me.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really actually quite lucky. I have a friend over at the Heathstead who over actually in the spring, I haven't even got a chance to use it yet. She sent me the biggest Presto canner through the mail. So I have a big Presto and I cannot wait to use it. I haven't used it yet. And then we were at the flea market and we came across an All-American, and I got it for 20 bucks. So I can't wait to use that
Very
as
jealous.
well. Huh?
I am very jealous. That is so awesome.
So maybe I mean, I know you're not supposed to pressure, like, you don't need to pressure can jams or anything like that, but maybe something I can try and do that at first so that maybe I can kind of get the hang of how to actually pressure can or something. So,
You don't want to can jam because it will make it break down and you'll just get syrup.
oh, yeah, that won't be good then. We'll have to figure out
Yeah.
something else. Maybe something else for my garden.
I recommend everybody runs 1 load of water through their pressure canner
Just to
for
kind of
the
get the
first time.
feel.
It makes them comfortable, and then you can always the jars stay clean on the inside, and you can always use a little bit of sterile water in your pantry for things, cleaning wounds or even cooking. I take my cans of water camping because it's pre-measured, so
So
there's
then,
always
yeah,
things.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody was telling me last night that they had canned water, and I thought that was so cool. It was somebody in the Brizards when I was watching. They said they had canned a bunch of water. I said that makes sense. That makes complete sense.
Yeah. It's perfect just to have some for backup for emergency that won't go bad.
Yeah,
It might get a little flat tasting over time, but it's not going to hurt you.
yeah. And like honestly, if you're just gonna be using it for cooking or I mean, and stuff like that, it's not even gonna be like who's gonna pay attention to that? And it's not gonna taste any different. I wouldn't think it would anyway.
No, it won't. The trick to making flat water taste better is to pour it back and forth between 2 containers and reoxygenate it.
Hmm.
That's why it tastes flat, is because the oxygen is out of it.
Oh, Fisha said she heard of that and filling extra space in the canner filling extra space in the canner too. That's another
Yeah.
thing. Like what if I pressure canning and I only have 3 things. I only have 3 jars because it's from my garden and that's all I had. And I wanted to pressure can those. I can't just put them in there. I have to put other jars in there too, right? Or how does that work?
Yeah. It's best to have a full canner load. So what I do is if I'm doing something that has meat, I may throw in a couple cans of beans because they're the same time and I have dried beans. And I want to keep most of my beans as dried beans for storage, but then I'll can a few to have quick and ready, just, use and pour.
Oh, that's a good idea. I have a ton of kidney beans that I had just purchased from a Rural King. By the way, the Rural King had huge bags of kidney beans on sale for 5.99, and so I scooped those up because I like chili and stuff, and then most of the time, you can't find the huge bags of kidney beans. They're, like, in little teeny bags
Right.
like this big. So when I saw them, I was like, "I gotta get those," you know? So maybe I can some of those for when I make chili um, over the winter, you know? And then that way I don't have to put them in my Instapot, because that's what I've been doing as of late is I've been filling my Instapot and putting water in there and then cooking them, and it only takes, like, 40 minutes versus soaking them overnight and all that stuff, you know?
Yeah.
So
That and I also I really do a lot of garbanzo beans.
ooh, that
I
sounds
like
good.
to make hummus, so it's quick and ready for hummus. But also the liquid from the garbanzo beans in the canning jar is an egg substitute.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes. So you can substitute that in baking for eggs, and then you always have eggs. Even when you don't have eggs for baking in your pantry, you always have what they call aquafaba in your canning jars with garbanzo beans.
That I did not know, and that is a really cool thing to know. And, like, even than that, like, vegetarian or not vegetarians, vegans can even have, like, your cake or whatever because you didn't put eggs in it. I didn't know that. That's so cool. Hello, Kathleen Elliott. Thanks for being here. And hello, Nana's Menagerie. Thank you so much for showing up. And we lost Tammy for a second here. She froze. The only lids I have are wide mouth. Yeah, she is on her phone and I think she's driving, so I don't know. We'll see. Um, yeah. We learned so much here. I never knew you could. Um, I can barely hear you, Tammy. Sorry, Tammy, we lost you. She'll come back, I'm sure. Yeah, that was weird. Oh my lord. What are you gonna do? But we love Tammy, and, we will try our hardest to, um, listen, over these past, next few weeks, trying to learn her knowledge in canning. There's a lot of things that I didn't know either, so she can definitely, help us, with that. And I don't know what's going on, if she messaged me or not. We'll see here. I'll check the price via partnership account. Thank you so much, you guys, Garden State Gardener, everybody. This is our first run, and, so we're just testing things out, um, and seeing how this goes. I've been helping my grandma and my mom can my whole life. There's still so much I don't know about all this. Yeah, I know. There's so many quirks. Okay, she's trying to get back on now, so I asked her if she was okay because it was really weird there for a second. I can PayPal you when you know your blue book if you have an extra. Huh. Funny how. Yep. Aliens have taken over Tammy's brain. I hope not, because we still need to use her brain. Thank you everybody for being here and supporting us. And I know this is we're gonna figure out the internet thing here and get this underway so that way we can have Tammy. But yeah, so basically we're gonna show people the beginnings of canning and stuff like that. Oh, here she is. Cool.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. It happens. Oh,
Sorry about that. Can you see
nope.
me?
Yep, I can see you.
All right. I don't know what happened there.
I don't know. It was weird.
Because I could see you just fine.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden you digitized out and it went, eh, eh, eh. It was like, what? Everybody was like, ah, and then Uncle Al shared aliens. It was funny.
Figures. It was the aliens. Oh. You want to get the chair out, Sawyer?
You got one for me?
I don't know. Look and see. So.
Yeah, this is actually a nice quiet place for you. I love you.
Okay, I don't need a chair. I'm happy.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
Get off that.
Sawyer. You are not muted. Stop.
Play that game?
Oh, my son. He's just lovely.
That's okay. He's a kid. Gardner said aliens think we taste like chicken.
Oh, my. So, there.
It's always aliens. Yeah, you're right. It is. I think we're all a little bit alien. I mean, yeah, we're all a little bit alien. Okay, so like I said, we'll go over the smalling next week. We'll go over the small basic things of canning, and stuff like that. Go over jars and stuff like that. Cause I had somebody tell me, like, I don't know anything about canning, like, how are you guys gonna go over like the basic, like, and we should probably go over the little basic things, to teach people because, a lot of people they have all the stuff. They're like me, they have all this stuff, and they have never used it. So, um, yeah. So we'll go over all of that. I do water bath quite a bit, so I know a little bit about canning. It's just as far as pressure canning goes, it's not something I've ever done before. So at
It's,
some point, go ahead, Tammy.
it's really easy. We'll talk you through it.
Yeah. And then what I'll do is I'll make some chili, maybe not this next week, maybe sometime, maybe like once a month, maybe I can make something that I can pressure can. Hey, sweetheart. And then Tammy can guide me through it. So, and then I have several cameras and stuff like that, so we can totally do this. Oh, so he's taking over. There's the new Rebelcanner guys taking over the show.
Yeah, he's got to be in the center stage. He's definitely likes to be included.
One quick question. How long is this?
Just a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer.
Rambling with the Brums. Hello. Thank you for coming in, guys. Appreciate you. And like I said, this is just the first show, so we were just going over things and what is expected of us and stuff like that. And Tammy, did you have anything you want to add?
No, I did have a couple of frequently asked questions. I think the number one question I've seen this month has been, how important is headspace? And I think people get so hung up on numbers, but you really want to have headspace so that your product doesn't overboil, doesn't get underneath your rings, and doesn't make a mess in your canner. But don't get so hung up on it. I think that's my advice for this week is, don't worry about it so much. So I think everybody's like, do I have to throw it out if it's, a millimeter too much either way? And it's like, no, it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. Although I did learn when I was making applesauce and apple butter that like you said, even though I followed the directions, I needed to add more space because it still came out. Even though I followed the recipe, I still needed to add more headspace on it because it still came out of the lids. And the lids are sealed, but it still had that gooiness on the outside, like it oozed out a little bit.
Yep.
So,
Yep. And you're not the only one. Everybody in my group this month has been really focused on headspace.
yeah.
And so this, that was one of the frequently asked questions. I want to make sure we had one for today that we could answer, and we'll try to pick one every week to answer.
Yeah, that's a really, really great idea. Yeah. If you guys aren't familiar, Tammy has a Facebook page, the Rebelcanners, and she has basically thousands of people. And she has more than just one, but she has thousands of people on her main page where they do all different kinds of canning. And so some of that we can't discuss here because of YouTube guidelines and stuff like that. But maybe Tammy can do an offshoot and teach people how to can on the side on her channel, and and do it like off the air because if you do it on the air then they can ding you for all different kinds of stuff. So here we have to keep it straight. But yeah, that's something, maybe something in Tammy's future. um let's see. But yeah, I'm so glad you talked about the garbanzo bean thing because, in a prepping situation,
Yeah.
that is really, really good to know. And I think most people didn't even know that. They had no idea. Plus, I like garbanzo beans. I like hummus, and I really like hummus with pita bread.
And a lot of people that go to food pantries, they'll give them a cake mix for their kid's birthday, but they don't give them the eggs to go with it. And this way they could grab a can of garbanzo beans and a cake mix, and they'd have a cake for their kid's birthday, and they don't have to go buy something extra. They could shop right off the food pantry shelves. So I kind of
Yeah.
like that out there for people on a tight budget.
Yeah. That's really interesting. How much of the water do you add in for the eggs though? Like, what is one little bit of water versus an egg? You know what
I
I
think
mean?
two
Measurement-wise.
tablespoons of liquid equals one egg.
Oh, okay.
I think it's 2 tablespoons of aquafaba or 3. I'd have to look it up because I haven't used it in a while, but it equals an egg. So I try to time my hummus making with my cake baking.
Yeah.
It really makes a fluffy cake.
We
Yeah.
live in North Carolina.
Oh, not
Yeah.
really.
I didn't know that Ginger Ninja either, and I think that's a really awesome thing, especially if for people that don't have chickens or allergic to eggs, stuff like that. So that's a really cool um substitute. Plus, like I said, I like garbanzo beans. I've never had an issue with them, and so I love hummus and stuff like that. What is your favorite way to make hummus though? Do you put like garlic and peppers and stuff in there, or how does that work for you?
In 1994, I read a recipe in a cookbook, and I have used this recipe ever since. It was for mothers of newborn babies. And you drain your chickpeas, you put them in a frying pan, and you roast them and you smash them as you're roasting them. And you can add onion that you've caramelized and a little garlic, and then you smash that all up. And then to make it runnier, more like chip dip consistency, you add your liquid back in.
Oh, nice.
They also said to put some tahini in there. I have never liked tahini. It makes it bitter, so I don't put the tahini in. But that was the recipe I got, was to actually cook it and then serve it on toast.
Oh, nice.
And even my meat and potatoes dad would eat that on toast and think it was great.
Yeah.
But he really liked the caramelized onions and the garlic in there that were cooked first in the pan, and then And that's the way I make it. I don't like the store-bought hummus as much.
Yeah. That makes I might go out to the store later. You're making me want hummus. Me and my husband used to do that for dinner. Well, my now that I'm have a child, I can't do that as much, but what we used to do is, like, we'd go and raid the olive bar at, like, the local grocery store because he loves those stuffed olives and stuff. We used to get stuffed olives. I used to get pepperonis and, like, maybe a little bit of, macaroni salad and, like, the, Italian dipping stuff that you dip the oil with the oils, and, like, we used to, like and then get some wine, and, like, we used to eat at the end table or whatever, and, like, have, like, a that would be our dinner, you know? But now I have to, actually cook something because I got a kid, but
You know that dipping oil is just really good olive oil with Italian seasoning in there.
yeah, yeah, and I have some Italian seasoning, that I just did that the other day, and instead of dipping bread, I dipped cucumbers in it. Oh my god, it was so good.
Okay, now cucumbers tomorrow at the farmer's market.
It was so good, and I bet you cucumbers, with hummus on them it would be good too. Like, instead of bread, you just dip the cucumbers in it.
That would be more keto.
Yeah.
A little more keto anyway. I don't know if keto. I'm not up on that, but I'm working on using less starches and more fruits and vegetables.
Yeah. I've been using a lot less bread. I don't use hardly any bread. And I've never been full on keto. I just been like I completely have cut out sugar and all that. But I would still I wouldn't deprive myself. Like, if I wanted something, I would have it, but I just cut it out of my diet altogether. So instead of having bread, I would have a low carb wrap or something. I would just do low carb, not keto altogether. But yeah.
I've found I can do stevia, so I'm really enjoying working on recipes with stevia instead of sugar.
Yeah, I just harvested a bunch of my stevia and I'm letting it dry right now. And yeah, and I just actually sent Sherry a bunch of my spices. I think I sent her my horehound tea. And in my horehound tea, I used 2 leaves of stevia, so it's gonna be sweeter. So because sometimes horehound doesn't really I mean, it's an acquired taste, it's not really something that people just go out and seek. I know they make horehound candies and stuff, and it's pretty good, but,
Seek out those horehound candies. When I was little, my grandpa always had them in his pocket. He used them in place of cough drops.
oh,
And so I always, when I go to those places that have those little packages of the barrel candies, I'm always looking for the horehound ones.
yeah.
That's my favorite flavor.
Yeah, and I noticed that you can find those barrel candies at, like, Tractor Supply, but they never have the horehound.
No,
It's
no.
so frustrating. You have to go to, like, Amish stores or something to get it.
That's what I do here is when I go up to Claire to the Amish grocery or the Amish hardware, then I
Yeah,
will supply for the next 6 months.
yeah. I can't do stevia, but I can do an organic monk fruit mix. Yeah, that'll work.
Monk fruit is on my list to try. I haven't tried that yet. With my allergies, I've tried to introduce one thing slowly at a time and see how I do with it.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm super excited about my stevia. Everybody told me how hard it was to grow, and I was really surprised. Like, I got every little seed from my packet to grow, right? So, I got all my seeds from my packets to grow, and all of my plants grew, and they're outside and they're doing wonderful. And I've just been cutting off their toppers and then harvesting that stevia, and I got a bunch of it in there, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait to actually use it in a tea or something like that. I'm just kind of impressed by it and kind of impressed with myself that I didn't kill it.
Your growing inspired me. I remember you told me that you grew rhubarb from seed.
Mhm.
And I had some packets in my seed bank I had not planted. So I threw them in late this summer, like I want to say early July. My plants are 4 inches high. I've got 2.
Oh, you go. You
So
go.
that's because of you. Because I'm like, well, you know what? These seeds are sitting here. They're not doing anything. I really had no confidence that they would grow from seed. I've always taken root cuttings. I'm like, all right, I'll try them. So I threw them in some pots I had. So I know that's what it is coming up in that pot.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah, I have a ton of Victoria rhubarb seeds. I have a ton of them, but I can't plant them because I already have along the front barn, I had planted like 5 things of rhubarb, and then I got one measly rhubarb plant in my garden, and, like, I can't plant anymore. What am I gonna do with all this rhubarb? I mean, I like it, but it's not I'm like, I'm not growing a field of it, so I still have a ton of Victoria rhubarb seeds, so maybe I'll do that in my giveaway.
That would be great. Because
Speaking of giveaways, I'm doing a giveaway week, and I'm really excited because I got books in the mail and I was waiting for them to come in the mail, but I didn't know when they were coming. These are going to be a part of my giveaway. I don't know if you can see it. This is the Natural Apothecary Baking Soda. I'm going to have that book. And this one is the Natural Apothecary of Apple Cider Vinegar.
Dog.
So that's going to be one of my giveaways. And then I'm also doing this as a giveaway. This is a preserving food, canning, cold storage, dehydrating, fermenting, and pickling. So I'm going to next, I can't remember the dates. I think it's next Friday. We'll be giving this away on our show. So I'm excited.
Yeah. That is exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about doing it because you know, I'd like to give back because a lot of people have been donating to my show and stuff like that. And I feel like it's necessary to give back, you know. So and then of course, you know, September 1st, I am doing a seed swap. So I have tons of seeds that we'll be doing seed swaps and stuff with. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So we got a lot going on. I call it giveaway week because I'll be giving away t-shirts as well from our sites and stuff like that. So just a lot of fun, you know. Plus I like giving things away. It's so much fun. It's fun.
It's a lot of fun.
I still do not know if I have had surgery on my hand, but I know I will decide. Oh, okay. I'm sorry, Yozi. Yozi's going through a hard time right now, and he got injured, and he has issues with his rotator cuff and everything else. So we'll pray for Yozi. We love you. Yozi is all the way from Israel, so we love him. So thank you so much for being here. Oh, by the way, Sherry, and like as soon as you can get walking or whatever you have going on in your life. I know your life is right now is complicated, but whenever you can, if you want to come up, even if you want to spend the day or whatever, you're always welcome here because we love you. So
I am keeping you in my prayers, Sherry.
Nana, that sounds awesome. So if you want to do that for giveaway week, we can do that. And, you know, that would actually be perfect for our Media Monday. I'm doing Media Monday with Mama Bear Prepping. And I absolutely love her. She's such a sweetheart. And we're going to be doing that together. And so that might be also a good time to give away those 2 family homestead t-shirts as well, because what Media Monday does is it represents everybody and we shout out people and shout out channels and stuff like that. So that would actually be a perfect time to do that. So yeah. Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad, Nana. She said her IV is coming out next Friday. Sweet.
That's good to hear.
Yeah. You gotta be on the mend. I was reading actually in one of these, this apple cider vinegar book. I actually just kept a book for myself because I'm interested in the apple cider vinegar ways and stuff like that. It said that if you take 2 or 3 tablespoons a day of this, it will like heal your insides.
Yeah.
That might be something that you might need to do, Nana. But there's just like all different kinds of stuff in this book. Gallbladder flush, head all from gallbladder flush to head lice. I mean, there's all different kinds of stuff in here in these books, and I'll be giving those away. And it's just I thought they were cool. So
apple cider vinegar is actually a very well-known miracle worker for getting your body back in shape.
yeah. And a lot of the things I said, well, it works for this, but we don't really, it says in the book, we don't really know how this works, but people have been doing it for years. It's like, okay.
Dr. Jarvis wrote a book about it in 1973. And the funny thing about him is he promoted it as a miracle cure for humans, but he had been a vet for 20 years and he started putting it on animal feed. And you see everybody in the homesteader community always dousing their animal feed or their water with a swig of apple cider. That came from Dr. Jarvis. He was a veterinarian in Maine, and he discovered the health benefits to animals, mammals, mostly cattle, and then transferred that over to humans.
Yeah. That's awesome. And we don't give apple cider vinegar all the time to our chickens, but we do it like I'll do it right before winter and stuff like that. It helps build their immune system and stuff. And a lot of people say that it's a myth and whatever, and it's not. It's not. It actually it's been proven to help with your digestive tract and stuff like that. So there's something to it. And so if it can help with humans digestive tract, it can help with animals digestive tract. So I just use like oh yeah, if you mention apple cider vinegar on a chicken page on Facebook, they like flip out. No, you can't use that, it doesn't work. And like I'd rather use that than use something from the Tractor Supply, and then you risk not being able to use your eggs.
Yeah.
Like if you use a lot of people don't know that, and you really have to do research before you give your chickens anything, because as soon as you give them something, you risk that coming out in their eggs, and then you're medicating yourself. And and some of those chicken medications are not good for human consumption. So
yeah, and they can also, if you're allergic to that antibiotic, you can't just give it to your chicken and then eat what your chicken produces, the meat or the eggs, because both can be tainted with that antibiotic, and then you can have an allergic reaction. And a lot of people have found that out the hard way.
Yep. Oh, and FYI guys, if you decide to do the apple cider vinegar diet, just make sure that you're using a straw, or make sure that you rinse your teeth really well, because it's a vinegar and it's an acid, so it can destroy your teeth unless you don't really care or you have false teeth. Then I guess it doesn't really matter, now does it? But yeah, so these are just some of the things that we'll talk about. And plus Tammy's a lot of fun. Like I just love talking to Tammy. I don't even know how did we become friends? Like I decided I wanted to interview you. I was so nervous to ask you that I wanted to interview for my show. And I was like so nervous thinking that you would say no. And then you said yes, and you changed my world. And then we've been friends ever since.
Yes. And I think it was your husband, because he introduced you to Rebelcanners.
Yeah, my husband was a Rebelcanner before me.
Husband. We'll blame Courtney's husband.
It's so funny. But yeah, so we click. So I love that. What? I like elderberries much better. Yeah.
Oh,
we have several elderberry plants here. This year they didn't do so hot, and I think it was because we chopped our main bush down, and then to let it regrow. We didn't chop it all the way down, obviously, but we did to let it grow, and then we made 20 or some elderberry bushes out of what we chopped down. So then it takes a while. I think it takes like a year or something for everything to get back to normal. And so we had some elderberries, but not enough to like really do anything. So I dried them. So I got a little bit of elderberry, and I think I have some frozen ones too, but we got a little bit this year, but not as much as we wanted.
I haven't found many this year. They're not ripening all at once. They're ripening half ripe, half not ripe, and it's hard
Yeah.
to pick them. This is elderberry season up here right now, and it's really hard to find them ripe.
Yeah, that's so strange. I think it's just the weather. The weather has been so weird. It's just not last year was a good year for berries, and this year is just not a good year for berries.
My asparagus is putting up shoots like it's spring.
Oh, wow.
I it's like, wait a minute. I'm just gonna let them go to seed, but I'm like, I can't believe it. I could go out right now and pick asparagus like it's May. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. There's just a lot of weird things going on with the weather right now. It's cooled down and a lot, and it is strange because and it gets hot during the day here. And really, to be quite honest, like sometimes like even last year would get to like 100 degrees here and there and whatever. And we got to 100 degrees one time this year. And then, at night, it's been in the 60s. So it's been, like, the nicest sleeping weather. It hasn't been, like usually at night, it's, like, still 80, and it hasn't been like that here. It's been nice. Oh, Uncle Al wants to know about canning pudding.
I did it once on a video. It is good short term, not so great long term. It's not something I'm going to can to eat in a year from now, but I will can it and make it for 3 months from now. If that answers that, it's not. It did not hold up as well as I thought it would.
Yeah. Oh, elderberries. Yeah, they love to be fertilized. And in fact, you can probably I will do this in the fall is I have a bunch of chicken poop because I have so many chickens, but I will probably take my tractor around and put chicken poop around all of my bushes. And I have two blueberry bushes and we planted last year like 6 or 7 other blueberry bushes, but honestly, they're like this big. You know what I mean? So, they had a couple blueberries on them, but they weren't like anything big. So, I think this year I'm gonna put some chicken poop on them for the fall.
You need to mulch them with some pine needles too.
Oh, yeah, they're underneath pine trees too.
Okay.
They have, and they have, pine needles around them because we signed up for that freechip.com or free whatever. And then I did the reviews on that and I kept reading them and they said, "Oh, my chips didn't come till months and months later." And I'm like, "Well, this kind of sucks." I'm like, "I kind of wanted them now, thinking, well, in like a week later, the guy comes knocking on my door. He's like, "You want ordered free chips?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, "I'll take them, because people said our chip drop, it was chipdrop.com, and I was, like, shocked because, everybody said they waited months to
Yeah.
get their chips.
It's been 2 years. I still haven't got mine.
Oh, no!
But thankfully, I have a mountain of wood chips, so it doesn't matter now. But a friend's relative has a tree service, and I called him, and about 6 months later, he still hadn't showed up. I see a tree truck coming down the road. I ran out in the middle of the road, jumped out in front of it, stopped right there in front of it. It's a dirt road, don't worry. It's basically almost a two-track dirt road. I stopped in front of him. I'm waving my hands. Come to find out, it was the guy looking for my place. So good thing I ran out there. And I have literally, it was 6 foot high and 20 feet long pile.
Nice, nice,
So,
nice.
and I told him he can drop every wood chip he ever produces there.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, 'cause wood chips are so nice, like, we like to put them in the garden too. We'll put
Yeah.
them in the garden on the to keep the weeds down and stuff, and well, now that my husband only has 1 arm to use, it's been hard because I wanted to do that to the garden this year, and I couldn't do it because I can't do all that stuff by myself, but, maybe that'll be in next year's thing. Uncle Al wants to know about canning duck fat, pig lard. Can you can those things? And
I do. You don't necessarily have to can lard, which is pork, but I always find that it goes bad, it molds. It's something about the humidity in my former house. And so I always pressure can it for the meat time, and I leave an extra ½ inch of headspace. So instead of an inch, I would use an inch and a half because it tends to bubble out. And you can do the same thing with chicken smolts, duck fat, anything like that, duck comfy kind of a thing. You can use it. But I use small jars for the duck and the chicken fat because I usually my measurements are when I open a jar, I only want, a couple tablespoons. So I use the little jelly jars for that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. Oh, How to Garden says, "Talk to your power company for wood chips." Yeah, that's a good idea too. Yeah, usually blueberries and stuff like that. I don't know if they did anything. I had a ton of mountain cranberries. They really love that. They like that shade. They like that coolness and underneath the pine trees, and they love that acid that pine gives off. So usually blueberry bushes and stuff like that, they just really take off underneath pine trees and if you give them, pine needles or whatever, they just really are into that.
It's the acid in the soil. The pine
Mhm.
needles create the right acid balance. They need a high acid soil.
Yeah. My husband's, physical therapist this last time really worked him hard, so he's a little sore.
That's going to take them a little while to get back.
Mhm. Yeah, I thought that chipdrop.com would never come with those wood chips, and I was really surprised, Hedgehog, that they just came in. Literally, it was a tree that was down the street. Like, my husband saw them. He drove home, and he's like, "I think we're gonna get some chips today." And I was like, "Yeah, right." And then here they come. A little Amish kid or something came knocking on our door and said, "Hey, we got chips." I'm like, "Okay." So, we had a mound, and then it was so nice because my husband has had issues with his arm then, and he couldn't move at all. So, our neighbors are Mennonite, and they have a youth group, and they always look for people to help out in the community. So, they came like, I had maybe a dozen, Mennonite and Amish people in my front yard moving those chips. It was awesome. It was so cool. The little Amish girls coming in their cute dresses, and
Oh.
it was awesome.
I have a neighbor at the new property, and he is ex-Amish, but he still dresses Amish. And he's married to a woman that's Mennonite and teaches school for the Mennonites right there by me. And they are the best neighbors.
Yes, they are. Yeah. I love because that's how they are. He grew up Amish, and I think she grew up Amish, like, big time Amish, and, they're both Mennonites now, and they are the best neighbors. They don't bother us. But if we have questions about anything on the homestead or questions with our chickens, they're always like, "Yeah, yeah," and they buy eggs from us. I love them. They're the best neighbors I ever had. Oh, and then my other neighbor's my mom, so I can't really complain there, but I could complain a little bit because she can show up unexpected sometimes, but
Well, she's got a grandbaby to come see. Come on.
Oh, Uncle Al wants to know if you've ever canned whole duck.
No, I have not canned a whole duck. I have canned duck. I butchered 7 Muscovies one time and I canned them up, but I canned them in broth like chicken broth and did it that way. I deboned them.
Uh, He's bringing out all the questions. Here we go. Canned hot dogs, Tammy. Have you canned hot dogs?
Yes, you want to make sure you get the good ones, not a lot of filler, and you want to poke holes in them to pierce the skin so that the liquid can get all the way into them, and pack them really super tight. When you think you have enough in the jar, squeeze one more in and do it
Nice.
times. Yes.
But yeah, so I've thought about canning hot dogs, but I don't really know if I like the texture once they're canned.
It does. They kind of expand and get poofy. The more fillers you have in them, the more poofy they are. I don't know how to describe it. They're better like chopped up and canned in like beans, like pork and beans. If you ever shopped in the store for beanie weenies and
Mhm.
little tiny things, my kids used to love those things.
Yeah, my mom used to fix that for my dad for lunches.
Yep.
Beanies and weenies.
Yep. Bye. He's timing you.
You're timing me? How was school?
Bad. It was only orientation. He only had a half day.
Oh, well, that isn't that bad, I guess.
Yep. First day of middle school. My baby's a middle schooler.
So 5th grade?
Sixth.
6th grade?
Yep. 6th, 7th, and 8th is middle school at this.
Aw.
Yep. Won't be long. He'll be a high schooler. He's already getting taller than me.
Yeah, you are tall.
Yep.
No, I'm not.
Can't quite hold it. There we go. He wants his after school treat.
Oh.
And it's fast food. He wants fast food. That's what he's anxious for.
I understand. When you're a kid, that's like everything.
No, don't. That's not nice.
Uncle Al said something about canned eggs.
I can eggs and meatloaf, but other than that, I only do pickled eggs and meat, and then my meatloaf has eggs in it. Other than that, I don't can eggs, and I don't do a lot of pickled eggs because our family's just not a big fan of pickled eggs.
Yeah. All right, guys, it is 1:00 and Tammy has to get moving here, but I want to thank each and every one of you for just hanging out and being here today. And our show is just going to expand and, we'll get really into it next week. And we just, this was just the first run. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Thank you, Tammy, for doing this. I know you're a busy person. And thank you. Thank you, Sawyer. And aw. And you guys have a great day, and we will all see you next Friday, and have a good one. Bye, guys.
You too. Bye, everyone.